All right, let's talk about conventions. It takes money to make money, right? Let's figure out how much money it takes. One of the first things you gotta think about is getting a booth. You have to get a booth, right? So you can approach the Facebook page. You can usually follow a link to whatever convention that you like, and you'll be able to you basically be able to find a link on there that is looking for vendors, right? You click on that vendor link and figure out what type of vendor you are. You're an artist or you're a vendor, right? You can be an artist alley, which is a little bit lower price. Usually you're making and selling your own product. Vendors are people that just flip stuff. They're flipping magazines, they're flipping comic books, they're flipping toys. They bought it, they're here to resell. So that's where you're at. Some, conventions, you could probably find an art fest or something like that for pretty cheap. It'll be like maybe 50, 75 bucks to set up at your local vendor place. If you're looking to go somewhere a little bit more higher end, then you're probably going to spend around $200-300 bucks. And some of the better ones can be $700 to $1,500, depending, maybe $3,000, depending on if you're going like to Designer Con or something like that. So very expensive to get a booth, right? But start off small, take little chunks, do a little at a time, and you'll be able to build up to those bigger shows. Plus, you don't want to pay $3,000 for a show and then end up bombing because nobody knows who you are. So it is better to kind of start off a little at a time. The next thing you need to think about is gas money, right? Gas and ride. How are you going to get there? How are you going to lug all your stuff there? You're going to need some sort of truck, SUV. If you have a smaller booth, then you can probably get away with like a mid-sized car, but something that's comfortable to drive. For me, it's, 5 hours is about a half tank of gas. Half tank of gas is about $40-50 bucks, depending on how I'm going. I've been able, let's say the show to Brooklyn, I did 5 Points Fest this year. It was 8 hours to Pittsburgh and then 8 hours to Brooklyn. So it was roughly $80 to basically a full tank of gas to get to Pittsburgh and then a full tank of gas to get there. So you're thinking maybe 80 to 100 bucks, depending on how much, I drive a Durango, the red Durango. So it's like a little bit more of a, it's a bigger car, but it's not like I didn't buy a RT or anything like that. So it's roughly 80 bucks to fill up. And so you're talking 160 to get there and then 160 to get back. So you're talking almost $400 with snacks and water and all that stuff just to get to the event. So now you've paid for your booth, $300. Now you go anywhere within 5 hours, you can do on a half tank of gas. So maybe 40 bucks there, 40 bucks back. So another 80 bucks. That's a pretty decent area to start out with. Like for us, 2 hours Louisville, 2 hours Indianapolis, maybe 3 hours Indianapolis, St. Louis, Nashville, we're kind of right in the middle. So for us, it's good. As far as a ride, if you're taking somewhere, if you're going somewhere really far, you may want to consider getting like a rental car so that you don't mess up your own personal vehicle. The longer that it takes to get somewhere, the more opportunities there are for things to go wrong. Somebody smack you, I got in a hit and run on my way back from New York. A guy hit me, hit 3 other cars and took an exit. And I would have had to claim that on my insurance, but it wasn't horrible. It scratched up my rim and stuff. I probably got about $300 or $400 worth of damage, but it's not life-changing. But something you may want to consider is getting a vehicle. You can go to Enterprise, you can get their insurance, and then whatever happens to the car is their problem. It's not your problem. So don't stress it. Maybe that might be the smartest route for you. Let's talk about production now. You're going to need a table. If you're outdoors, it's a little different production than being indoors. You can usually just get away with a table and a banner behind you. Banner, I think I have like a 10-foot by 6-foot one, and it was maybe 150 bucks. You'll definitely need some sort of banner. The bigger the banner, the better the setup, the better you look. You get a little bit more respectable opinion. I think that people, when they see nobody with no banner, you got to think of it as your storefront. It's your storefront for the day or for the weekend. So you really need to put some thought into that. How are you doing your tablecloth? How are you doing your How is your setup? Is it vertical so people can see it, or is it all laying flat and nobody can see it from far away? Because sometimes having those images up is what people see, which draws them towards you. So you really should pay attention to, how you're setting your stuff up. So say a tablecloth, you can get away with a black bed sheet. You can get a king size black bed sheet that will cover every table, maybe $27. Banner for behind you is about $150, a nice one, and you'll be able to get away with that, and that's small production. Then you put all your art on top of that and you're good to go. You don't have to worry about anything. One of the hidden costs that a lot of people don't think about is food. You got to buy food there. So if you're at a venue, the food is going to be marked up 3 times. The Gatorade is going to be $1.50 or whatever. It's going to be $4.50, $5. So now your meals are probably 3 times as expensive unless you leave the venue to go other places. There'll be food trucks. There's often things like that will get you by, but it's kind of like eating carnival food all day. You gotta be careful. Make sure you're taking care of yourself. You're not eating just junk food or fast food all the time. I tend to eat a little too rowdy, but I would suggest, if you can put it in your budget to try to get a little bit healthier meals, you can maybe bring snacks so you don't have to buy so much, but it is definitely a cost. You don't think about it. Your drinks, your waters, your snacks, your foods, anything that you're eating there is going to cost you some money. So it's one of those little hidden costs that I never really thought about, but is important, right? We got to talk about marketing. So you're going to need business cards. You're going to need flyers. You're going to need something that you can hand out that doesn't cost you a lot and usually will give you some sort of lead, right? If they're not buying something now, maybe they'll buy something off your website. It's not always about if they have money right now or if they're buying right now. It's sometimes they'll, next week they're getting paid and maybe that's when they're going to come back and buy your stuff. So you need to give them something that lets them go home and think about what it is or remember it next week when they do get paid or they do want to support you or they do have the moment to really be able to back you. You need to take that into consideration. So business cards, you can get them printed up like 1,000 for maybe $100 and hand them all out. I usually think of things when it comes to marketing about 10%, right? 10% of those people that you give a business card to will actually go to your website, and then 10% of that 10% will actually buy something from you. So you hand out 1,000 business cards, 10% of that is going to go to your website, and then only 10% of that 10% is going to buy. When you're like 1% is really going to buy your actual stuff. So the more marketing stuff you give out there, your bigger your percentages are. If you only hand out 1 business card today, highly unlikely somebody's going to do it. But if you hand out 50 business cards today, you might end up with a lead, and that lead might be in that 1%. So you never know who's going to support you. You never know who's really going to buy your stuff or find something cool that they could even give away as a gift. Maybe it's not their personal flair, but they might know somebody. So it's very important to get your marketing material up together. That is a for sure. Where are you going to stay at? Do you have a friend? There's some areas that I go to that I don't have friends. I'm literally just going there kind of nomad pilgrim style, and I'm trying to figure it out. So I'll use Orbitz. Orbitz is a good one where you can get some sort of cashback rebates, or for me, I'll get one that's within their network and it gives me a certain percentage back. So I may save $5 or $10 on a hotel, but you got to figure out what type of hotel you want to stay at. Sometimes people bring campers. I've seen people rent U-Hauls and then fill the U-Haul with all their stuff for the weekend and then drop it back off because it's pretty cheap. Me, I like to get a hotel because I want to have a shower. I want to have my space and be able to lock it down a little bit better security-wise. I think it's just overall better. If my family's with me, then I have to get a pretty good hotel. I don't just for my own peace of mind. I have to make sure that my family's safe. So we need to make sure that we have like a pool. Sometimes we get one with a pool or whatever. So whatever you got, whatever your situation. If you're solo, you can probably get a little cheaper one, get you a 1-bedroom and you'll be fine, or 1 bed and you'll be fine. Airbnbs are a good option, like for when you have family or you're gonna, sometimes it makes way more sense to meet up with 5 other artists and to just rent like an Airbnb and everybody chip in than it is to everybody get a hotel, because you're gonna spend in a city, you're probably gonna spend $150 to $200 a night for a hotel. So that's $400 if you're staying for 2 nights. You can, the one we stayed in this weekend was $87. I think $97 after taxes. So we split that room and it was like $45 or whatever, so not too bad. But yeah, so hotels are going to be something you need to really think about too. Now, after you leave the con, you're going to need some, if you go out and adventure, we like to adventure. Sometimes we go to the zoo. So you're going to need extra money for zoos, for whatever activities you had. You can go back to your hotel and chill out, draw, do whatever you want to. There's always cheaper ways to make, ways to save money. But if you're going to go out and network, right? Like if you go to a bar or if you go to a restaurant or you go to a zoo or whatever, leave your business cards out all around that town. They may not come to the convention, but you can leave your business card somewhere where they can end up finding it. You never know who's going to scan it. It might be somebody that's eating at the bowling alley and doesn't know, and finds your card, picks it up, scans it. Whoa, this is amazing. All of a sudden you got a new follower from a new area. So that's where that marketing kicks back in. But definitely networking, like before the convention, go get coffee, go say hi to the people at the coffee place, tell them where you're going, go do all that stuff. Network, make sure that you're networking. I think it's highly important to go out and do that stuff and kind of build up a little bit of people that want to follow you, That 10% really trickles down to everything. It's not just marketing. It's also like, how many people you talk to, how many people you're engaging with, how many people those people actually like you, what are they following, There's a huge formula, but these are sort of little things that will kind of help you as far as like planning how you're going to be able to do your travels and how you're going to be able to survive on a convention weekend. So if you're thinking about actually booking a convention and doing conventions and traveling and meeting us at a convention or a festival or something like that, use these tips. Think about this stuff. Make sure you plan. You can always minimalize things, but these are like base ideas of what it costs to get at a convention. Safe travels. I'll see you guys soon.